So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Tory leadership hopeful Suella Braverman getting absolutely smoked on LBC. This is beautiful to watch, and I'm so glad that politicians are so dumb to go on to public radio shows where anyone can call in and give them an absolute verbal beating. So let's have a listen.
Wake up every day with joy in my heart that the most corrupt, cruel, evil party, the Conservatives, are no longer the big boys in Parliament. Enough is enough. I don't want to hear any more incitements of hatred. I think Keir Starmer, 50 days in, you've had thousands of days. He's had 50. I think he's done a fantastic job.
I disagree with that, but, we move.
In 50 days. Yes, I do. And
well, I just want to say, Jan, thank you very much. Let me just come in here. Yes, there were failings by the Conservative government. I think pretty much every leadership candidate accepts this, and we have to accept where we went wrong. That's the least we owe the voters. But we also need to be clear-eyed about what Labour were promising during the campaign. I mean, if I'm honest,
first time for everything.
They didn't say much in terms of substantive policy.
Still beat you though, didn't they? When they had barely any policies, still cooked you guys because you guys absolutely goofed. So when it comes to substantive policy, there's a reason why they did that. They were vague on certain things. It's so they can get away with a lot when they're in government and say, well, we kind of said this thing in the manifesto. This is what the Tories do all the time.
Solutions, and actually we can tell more by what they didn't say in many instances, particularly when it comes to tax rises. They said, we're not going to raise VAT, national insurance or income tax, but that still leaves a whole raft of other taxes, which I'm absolutely confident they will be raising later.
Almost like that was part of the plan. As much as I would like to see an increase in certain taxes, income tax for the top rate and whatever. It's almost like Rachel Reeves kind of planned that, and that's a rare bit of credit I'll ever probably give her if she keeps following down kind of George Osborne's playbook. But it's clear what they were doing. I don't know why she's kind of arguing some sort of deceptive, manipulative trick. It doesn't make sense.
So, like the Secretary for State, you're undermining your own police force to the point we have these riots.
She did call out certain police chiefs, I think, over their handling of certain situations, which, when you do that publicly, you do undermine them. You undermine them a lot. Really, that should have been done behind closed doors. And if there were, consistent problems, then that's when you can look at reforming the system of how certain people get into positions of leadership within the police force.
Well, people think there's going to be no repercussions if, for whatever they do, they just think they've got a free rein because the police have been undermined and undervalued.
Well, the police are operationally independent. They make their own decisions as to how they arrest and investigate cases. The reality is that ministers can't direct them to do anything. And the reality as well...
Well, you can set minimum guidelines. You can set, I think, basic operational standards. And you can also set how many prison places there are, and we know the prisons are full. And I think Starmer is going to argue when he does his speech soon, depending on when this video comes out, that one of the reasons the rioters thought they could get away with these riots is because there's no places in the prisons.
Is that we've seen prolific levels of shoplifting go unenforced by the police.
It's almost like there's not enough police officers to deal with this kind of stuff. And also, if the police actually did deal with the shoplifters and things like that, and people went to prison, where would they put them? There's no space in prisons. The police had to use holding cells for certain people. It's not sustainable.
You've seen knife crime rise, particularly in London, by the...
Whose watch was that again?
Police, despite successive Conservative administrations giving the police more funding, more police officers, more power.
So let's look at the reality of the situation. Back in around 2010, you guys cut the amount of police officers we had. You got rid of a load of experienced police officers. I remember a very famous speech Theresa May said, if you do not reform from below, we will reform from above. Something on those lines. Very, very Tsar Nicholas II, I think it was. That kind of, if we do not reform from above, they will revolt from below. Those kind of vibes. And so you cut a load of experienced police officers out, and then when you try to recruit them, you recruited a bunch of goons. Some of these people aren't that experienced. I'm sure most of them are fine. One of them was a neo-Nazi, let's not forget. So I genuinely baffled. You got rid of a load of experienced staff, brought in a bunch of rookies, and you're like, oh my God, how come the rookies can't perform well? You know, we have less police officers per capita than we had back in 2010. Ridiculous arguments.
I mean, as Home Secretary, talk about my record, you know, I was a pro-police Home Secretary. I gave the police more powers. I gave the police...
Yeah, I think under you, we had all the anti-protest laws. So you had the police doing more dumb stuff. You had police officers who, some of them had a power trip and just arrested people for holding basic items like blank paper and zip ties.
Higher wages.
You had people arrested for carrying rape alarms.
I gave the police more manpower. And so, you know, the government can put in place the conditions for the police to thrive. It can set...
I mean, you didn't. So you can, but you didn't.
Strategic objectives. But ultimately, you know, the police did fail when, in my view, when it came to taking a fair-handed and robust approach to the hateful marches that we have seen.
The hateful marches we have seen. Oh my God! She's talking about the pro-Palestine marches, where there was, I think, very minimal any kind of violence or anything like that, compared to the big protests we see when Robinson's leading them. When you see people get into constant fights with police officers, there was garbage answer from a garbage human being here, and we got more. There's one more clip I want to show you guys.
But is it actually true? We heard like Rachel Reeves talk about a 20 billion black hole in the public finances a few weeks ago. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest lies in British politics right now. The government, the Conservative government, left this country with the fastest growing economy in the G7.
So let's have a look at that. Let's look at this, right? So when you look at the economy's percentage change compared to pre-pandemic levels, right? And I appreciate the fact that the government actually put this stuff out, the Commons Library. Now, let's have a look, right? Compared with Q2 2024, compared with Q4 2019, right? The only country we're doing better than is Germany. I don't know what the hell's going on in Germany, apart from they faced a lot of problems with energy, like gas, electricity, just gas, I think, mostly, right? So if someone in the comments could please explain to me what the hell's going on with Germany, I would love to know. But when we look at the statistics, right, Japan's got us wiped down, France, the Eurozone, Italy, Canada, and the US. I don't normally put the US in this because they're a bit of a unicorn economy, because they're very different. They have, you know, much more power than most other countries. But we're getting beat by everyone else in the G7 apart from Germany. That's it. Italy got double on us. Canada got more than double on us. France are doing better than us. The French, you know, the ones that we kind of mock all the time, you know, they're doing much better than us compared to Q4 of 2019. So this argument of fastest growing economy or whatever, when you hear anyone say that, right, please share this with them and show them that, nah, in reality, Boris Johnson, the tenure the Tories have had, really since that election has been awful, absolutely awful. The second worst performer in the G7, and probably Germany are there because of outside factors, because they're so reliant on, probably because of Russian energy and maybe potentially trade with Russia. That's about it. You know, there are other factors as well, I assume. I don't know if Angela Merkel actually left Germany in the best state when she left, but the new guy, Olaf Scholz, is a bit of a joke, to be honest. But, you know, hopefully, you know, if you do have any understanding of the German economy and can explain what's going on there, because they're doing absolutely abysmally. But this argument of fastest growing economy in the G7, you don't look at things really quarter by quarter unless you're trying to look at short-term factors. What you do is you look at it year by year. And when we look at it year by year, we're doing abysmal.
We slashed the deficit from 2010 from 10% down to, you know, just over 1%. Public sector net borrowing has fallen. Unemployment has fallen.
Again, unemployment's a bit of a bogus factor to look for, because, you know, if you're in a country where, you know, you have lots of people needing to work rather than to study or, you know, do extra activities or whatever because they can't afford to, that's not a hallmark of a good economy.
The deficit and the debt have all fallen, thanks.
I mean, not really. Our debt to GDP almost hit 100%. It did hit 100% under during the pandemic. So using the metrics that they're talking about, it's fallen as a percentage of what it was about 2 years ago. But it's not doing great.
To goods inflation, importantly. slashed.
You did nothing with inflation. Inflation fell on its own because there was no way it was going to grow with the numbers it had done previously. Inflation's measured quarter by quarter growth.
Thanks to good governance and prudent financial management by...
The great thing is you were barely part of any of that because you were booted out of the cabinet.
The Conservative government. So I don't believe that line peddled by Rachel Reeves that we're facing this fiscal crisis.
It's a great phrase there. I don't believe, because as one of my old teachers pointed out here, when you argue with someone and they say, I believe something, it's powerful because it means that they hold it within themselves. It doesn't matter how illogical it is. It doesn't matter how many facts you show them. They believe it to be true. They perceive it to be true. And so in their head, it's true. But it doesn't matter how many facts you show them, how much you disprove what they're saying, they still believe the nonsense they peddle because they're idiots.
I do believe, however, what we've seen is huge, and I would say disproportionately large, payouts to the unions in terms of public sector.
Oh my God, working class people and lower middle class people getting pay rises that are above inflation for once. Wow, that's crazy. Stopping strikes that will have massive disruptive impacts on the economy, giving money to people who are actually going to spend it in the economy and help it grow. That's crazy. Can't believe that. That's madness. Oh, I wish I had the Tom Holland picture where Spider-Man has got his hands on his head. Honestly.
Wage increases to junior doctors, for example, 23% wage increase given
I don't think it was 23%.
The junior doctors, costing billions of pounds, £8 billion, I think that's going to cost. We've seen...
Oh no, paying people properly so they actually stay within the healthcare sector and that we can have, doctors and surgeons of the future. That's crazy.
£7 billion going towards a national wealth fund, £8 billion going to Great British Energy. No, I don't.
Well, I don't think Great British Energy is that great. But, if it can actually buy assets and own them and, sell that money back to the National Grid, for example, and funnel that money back to the Exchequer, I'm not against that.
I don't know what that's supposed to do either. So gimmicks...
Most people don't. When you talk about gimmicks and vanity, you guys are the kings of gimmicks. You talk about Build Back Better and all of this stuff. When you talk about, building HS2, complete joke. Complete joke. You didn't even build it fully. It was meant to connect, I think, London. It was meant to go from the south of England all the way up to Scotland. And you guys kept cutting it consistently year over year. So when you talk about gimmicks, when you talk about vanity projects, Rwanda was definitely a vanity project on behalf of Braverman here. You are the monarchs, the kings and queens of gimmicks and vanity projects and stupidity and waste. That's who you guys are. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Please, if you see these politicians, on radio shows, don't harass them. But, I think people should phone in and say, tell them what they think of them. Not in a rude or a malicious way, but just to say, you guys can pretend your record was good. When we look at the reality of your record, it's awful. And if you do come up against we left them the fastest growing economy in the G7, make sure you mention this. Make sure you mention the fact that our economy has only grown by 2.3% since before the pandemic to now, versus France 3.8, Italy 4.7, Canada 5.4. You can even throw in the US there if you're feeling it, 9.4. These are the things you want to mention. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.